Good evening to you. Thank you for joining me on Good Friday evening. As you know, I'm not normally here on a Friday, but I was unable to make my live yesterday, Thursday, because I was out crafting with a lovely group of ladies in Brackley. So that was really nice, but it did mean I couldn't be in two places at once. And I hadn't thought far enough forward to do my Facebook Live earlier in the day yesterday. So I thought I would hop on today and introduce what will be our new stamp set for next week. This is a stamp set that has coordinating dies with it, but we're going to start off just with the stamps. As you can see, it's called Dainty Delight. And we're just going to do a simple card today. This is what we made at Coffee and Card today, and what we will be making at Coffee and Card next Tuesday. Let me just bring everything up on my phone so I can see where we are. So, welcome. Hi, Diane. Thank you for joining us. So, Diane joined us this afternoon for Coffee and Card and made a beautiful card and a lovely bookmark to go with it. So this is what we're creating today. So just a simple card with the elements stamped across the bottom. Hi Carol, hope you are well. And then using blending brushes to add in a bit of colour in the background and a little bit of blue at the top. I also added in the dots from, I want to say Nature's Garden, but it isn't, it will come to me in a minute, across the top. And we did a coordinating bookmark, which is this one here, you can see on the right hand side. So this is what we did at Coffee and Card, and I encouraged the ladies, if they wanted to put a name on the back of the bookmark. And so I did. I had this sample with me that just says books, and it would have that on the front. This one isn't stamped on the back, so basically it would be like that, and the wording on the back in their colour of choice. And so they had the option to put somebody's name. You could put the word read, anything you wanted to really, and it was really successful. Added a little bit of ribbon at the top. So let's get started. So I've got a slightly smaller piece of basic white that I'm going to use, just so I've got a little bit more of a border, and I'm going to stamp this in Early Espresso. One of the stamps we didn't use today is this tiny little one at the bottom, which I think would be really good for filling in any little gaps. So I'm going to grab that. I haven't put the label on that one because we didn't use it. So this one literally arrived with me yesterday, and it is part of a really pretty bundle. You might recognise some of the images because these coordinate with the celebration papers that we had earlier this year, the Dainty Flowers. Okay, so I think this would be useful across the bottom. We'll see. May use it, I might not. And this set has 4 nice sentiments. Thank you for your kindness. Sending love during this season of growth. Celebrate you, and the best is yet to come. So some nice elements to go with that. Let's grab a piece of paper. And so this is our sample here. Hopefully you can see that. If it's still in view, yes it is, just about. And then there's our bookmark. I love doing bookmarks, and we do them at Coffee and Card every so often, probably, I guess once a quarter maybe. But they always go down really well, and they make a nice little present. And in the session that we had yesterday with this with the ladies group, we made the pinwheel card and a coordinating bookmark, which they really seem to enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to stamp onto this. I'm using Early Espresso, and you can either start at one end or you can start in the middle and go either side. What I do like to do is vary the height. So this flower here is the same as this one. This one is the same as this one, but I've stamped them at different heights. Okay, rather than stamping all the same. So let's give this a go. I'm going to ink this up onto my stamp. So I'm using my favourite Early Espresso, and I'm inking up more than I think I will need, and I'm going to pop this one slightly high and to the right so that I can put my sentiment off to the left. So thank you for joining me on Good Friday. For us here in the UK, this is a bank holiday. We did have coffee and card. That was on request for the ladies that wanted to make it, which was really nice. So I'm just going to add this one. This is like a cow parsley. And what I'm actually going to do is tuck a little bit in there, and then a taller piece in here. Hi Louise, I hope you're well. Okay, and then I'm just going to add in, so we're using Dainty Delight stamp set. Thank you for joining us on a bank holiday. I wasn't sure anybody would be round, to be honest. I thought you might all be far too busy, and with the weather we've had, I suspect there'll be a few barbecues going on. Right, so I've got this little gap here that I'm going to use that little infill stamp for. So let me find a smaller block. There we go. There's still plenty of bargains to be had in the sale. So the retiring products that Stampin' Up have, these are the ones that are in the current catalogues, whether that's the annual catalogue or the spring summer. Well, January to April. It's not really spring summer anymore. I'm supposed to call it January to April. Louise says she's never too busy for Stampin' Up. How sweet is that? Okay, so I've got a different set of plants here, and again I'm just choosing placement based on the height really and the space, like so. And I've got a little bit of a gap in here, so I'm going to find a piece that I can tuck in. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I'm just going to pop this one in at an angle. So don't be afraid to just use elements of a stamp. Okay, so that's my main stamping, and if I wanted to do my coordinating bookmark, I would stamp that as well in the same sort of run. Okay, now I'm going to add my sentiment just to give that ink a little time to dry, and then I'm just going to do some colouring in and some blending with the blending brush. So hopefully you can see that's quite pale. I didn't want it to be too much for the card, so I've used Pear Pizzazz at the bottom, sadly that's going, and a little bit of Balmy Blue at the top. So let's use Thank You For Your Kindness, I think, if it will fit. Okay, it feels a little bit squashed in, so I'm going to use Celebrate You. I do like the sentiment not to be too small or too big. This is probably a mistake not having this with a sticker. Let's try it and see. So this says Celebrate You, and I think I've got it straight to the block. So I'm lining the block up with my grid paper and then looking to see, and that's pretty close. So I'm going to pop that in here. Make sure I then keep the block straight. There we go. Okay, so Celebrate You. Quite a nice fine sentiment. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of colouring and then a little bit of blending, and then just mount that together. Be nice and straightforward card. Got to be easy for bank holiday, really, hasn't it? I keep thinking it's Saturday, which has completely thrown me. So this has got pinks on it, so let's do yellows and oranges for this one, maybe. And what I like about this for colouring in is there's only tiny little areas, so you don't have to be an expert colourist to be able to colour this in. And also, such a small area, you don't even need to worry about blending in multiple colours if you don't want to. Basically, these leaves are a single brush stroke, like so. You could do different colours of green if you wanted to, but I'm just going to do a single bit. I'm just on the tiny edges, almost just touching the paper. That's it. Like so. So in the market town where I live, it was very quiet this afternoon. So there were a few people in the lounge coffee shop where we have our coffee and cards normally, but not many, because there weren't many shops open, so people weren't really milling around. Okay, so these could be buds or they could be flowers, leaves. I'm going to make those buds, I think. So, and I think with these, if you get the odd one wrong, I don't think it matters. So I'm just going to lift this up so you can see it a little bit better. And almost certainly I'm going to miss a couple. Okay, so if I lift that up, hoping you can see that okay. And then I'm just going to add some yellows and oranges. So I'm excited to get our new colours that are coming out. So as demonstrators, we are able to order early for the new colours that are coming out. And I have got a couple of people that have joined my team and ordered some of the new items. So, of course, we've hit a bank holiday now. So I know that my boxes won't ship out from Germany until Tuesday, basically. So I'm hoping to get them. Probably Thursday, with any luck. So, although it's sad to see some of the colours go, it's always nice to see new things, new products. Okay, so I'm just scribbling this in, and again, you really don't need to work on it. Literally just touching in a little bit of colour. Like so. I think I'll do these in an orange. I don't know what they are. Oh, hi Jane. Thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. Thank you. So, funny enough, Dainty Delights was a set I looked at back in January. And I thought, well, we've got other similar flower sets, so I'll hold off. And then when I found out that this was carrying over into the annual catalogue, so I know it will be available all year from May through to the end of next April, I thought I might as well get that, because it was on my list but it wasn't the highest priority one. But there's some really pretty dies, and I thought this would just be a nice pretty set, either for coffee and card, which we're using so far, or for a class. So just popping these in, and I'm just going to do a little bit with the blending brush and it will be done. So although there's a little bit of colouring in, you could stamp these in one colour and not colour them in. Just going to try a different yellow on there. What have I got? Dark Daffodil Delight and Dark Daffodil Delight. Trust me to pick two the same. Here's a light one. Now, I appreciate this is a small flower. You're really not going to see this blending because it's just so small on the screen. But let me lift that up to show you. Hopefully you can see that. And I also took along, for coffee and cards, I took along the honeybee set. So the ladies could stamp the bees, because I know the ladies particularly like bees. So I'm just going to see if that is to hand. Of course, it'll be the one at the bottom. So we've got this 3 here, and I'm pretty sure that is probably retiring. I haven't got as far as taking those ones off my shelf. And then Quiet Meadow, this is the one that's got those lovely dots, and also some text which is all broken up, so it makes a really nice vintage look. So I'm not going to add the dots, I don't think, but I might pop one of the bees on there. Let me have a look and see. Like so. It's a little bit big for my flowers, but let's add him in. Whoops a daisy. Add him in, why not? Hi Dee, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're not completely bored and that you're resting up. Okay, I know my espresso ink pad needs a bit of a refill. Okay, so I'm going to pop him in there. I know he's too big really for the flowers, but there we go. Oh, and I just got the edges as well. Okay, right, let's colour him in with a bit of yellow. Let's colour that there, and the head. A little bit of the body, like that. Hi Babsy. Hi Lynn. Lovely to have you join us. Like so. And I'm just going to use the tiniest bit of a light blue. So I've got a light balmy blue for the wings. Okay, so there's my flowers and my bee. Now, because I caught the edge of the stamp, trying to press it hard into the ink, I'm actually going to add some of those dots to help disguise it. Not that I was going to, but I am now. So I'm just going to use these dots from Quiet Meadow. Let's pop that on. And I'm going to use espresso, but I'm going to stamp it off. Yes. I should going to stamp it off twice. There we go. And then just loop that around there. And it just takes your eyes away from the fact that I've got a little extra mark in there that shouldn't be there. Okay, so I'm just going to use a blending brush to add a bit of detail. So I've got a blue, and very often my brushes will have enough ink on them that I don't need to re-ink them. And the secret to soft blending is not to have too much ink. I realise that I've sort of covered up my microphone, so I'm hoping you could hear me okay. I'm sure you would, otherwise you would have shouted. So just adding a little bit of blue. And you can take this down so it looks like background sky. It's up to you. And then I'm going to add a little bit of yellow across the bottom, like so. This is going to go onto a white card. And I do have some layers that can go behind, but I may keep it white. We'll have a look, see. Okay, so let's move this out of the way so I don't get ink everywhere. These are my samples. So here it is, straight onto the white card, which might actually work. Let's have a look. I'll just try a couple of coloured layers and then we can decide, see what you think. So I've got bright green, I've got a mango, that might be quite nice. I think that works quite nicely. Dark colours, I don't really want to go darker. There we go. So what do you think? Do you think with the yellow background? I think so. I think it just steps it up a little bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to pop that onto the yellow layer and get that off there. Thank you, Diane. Okay, so some wet glue, and this has got a slightly bigger margin than normal, so I cut the card slightly smaller. The white basic white card, slightly smaller. There we go. And then that is going to go onto there. And then you could stamp the inside, you can stamp the envelope, you can add a sentiment inside. So just making sure the card's opening the right way. I'm not putting it on upside down or anything crazy. Like so. And I think I'm just going to add a few gems on there as well. If I can find put my glasses down, there they are. Dear. Right. See what gems I have. So, these ones I'm pretty sure are carrying over. One of my favourite because they've got a nice mix of colours, and I'm thinking that yellow on there might just work. So let's just try it. Take my glasses off. Let's put 1, 2, and 3 as our finishing touch. Okay, so there is our finished card. So I hope you like that, nice and simple. So I just stamped the flowers across the bottom, varying the heights and just using parts of those to get the a nice infill right the way through. Then I coloured those in nice and simply, and then I added sentiment, a few dots to cover up the little extra bit of ink that arrived on my bee stamp, and then used the blending brush and then just added a few little dots for a final tweak. So here's another version of that with the pink, hopefully you can see that one, and then the bookmark version of that. And I think this would make a lovely, this makes a lovely present, and this bookmark is half of an A4, so if this was an A4 card, I cut it in half that way and then cut them up, and you can get 4 and 4, so you can get 8 bookmarks, and these are 5 centimeters wide or just a smidge under 2 inches. And then I just added a bit of ribbon on the top, but kept it the same as this one here. So that goes in nicely, fits in nicely, the whole thing goes in an envelope. Okay, so thank you very much. Hi Zana. Just wrapping up, I'm really sorry about that. I hate it when I have to say that to people who've just arrived when I'm finishing, but it will be available on replay very shortly and uploaded to YouTube. So thank you for joining me. This is Dainty Delight that we've been using, and we're doing it at Coffee and Cards. So if you're able to join us at Coffee and Cards next Tuesday here in Brackley, you'll be able to make a card like this and a coordinating bookmark. And if you want to add somebody's name or a message on the back of there, I've lost my little sample, I buried it again, then you can do that using the classic alphabet. This was the alphabet set that we used here. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a good Easter weekend, whether you celebrate it as a religious occasion or whether you just enjoy the time potentially off work. Not everybody gets time off work, but either way, have a great weekend. The weather is set to be nice. I have decided I won't be here Monday morning. I'm actually going to take Bank Holiday Monday completely off, and I will be back on Tuesday. So we have coffee and card in the morning, and then my live will be in the evening on Tuesday. So thank you for joining me. Do take care. Don't forget to check out the retiring items. All of the sale prices are up on the website, so if you just search for an item, or you can look through my video in conjunction with your catalogue and make a note of anything you fancy. Some great bargains to be had. A lot of stamp sets from £6 upwards. So if there's something on your list that's retiring, don't hesitate and order sooner rather than later. Thank you so much, everyone. Do take care, and I look forward to crafting with you really soon. Bye for now.